On the line is Valentina Hynes. Sorry, morning, Valentina. And
Hello, good
hi,
morning.
hi. You run a workplace wellbeing company, and you moved to Harrogate from Nigeria in 2018. I've also got Alison Scott, Chief Executive of York Mind. Morning, Alison.
Morning.
So, Valentina, I really want to know what you thought. Clearly, you watched it last night. What did you make of that interview, that chat with Oprah?
Hi, Georgie. First off, I need to say that I am not qualified to comment on the veracity of Meghan and Harry's interview. I do not know them. I have never met them. But as a black woman, as an immigrant, as a woman, as a mother who's been pregnant, who moved to the UK for my family survival after my British husband suffered a heart attack in 2017 due to workplace stress and anxieties. My sense of identity, struggling with that, struggling to maintain my sanity and a deep connection with my community while literally fighting the Home Office for my right to live in the UK with my family, to live in the land of my husband's birth, and as you said, as a holistic well-being and happiness at work specialist. I can totally agree and appreciate Megan's share of her struggle with her mental health and the bureaucracy and double standards. Now, do I think they had a right to speak their truth? Yes, because speaking your truth is a basic need of every human. I wonder how long it would take if a person is poking their fingers in your eyes. How long does it take before you bat it away? Is the royal family an institution or is it an organization? Should they take the well-being of their people, employees, or family very serious? Are they obliged to provide a duty of care to their people?
You know, it's very interesting because we have had no comment from Buckingham Palace, and we're hearing this interview, and it's an interview that's been conducted by a friend of the family. Harry and Meghan. Oprah is their friend. How did you feel about the comments about the racism, about questioning the colour the colour that Archie would be when he came out, when he was born?
I would say a lot has to do with context and seeing the way Harry reacted to the question and the fact that Meghan took that quite personally. And myself being of a biracial marriage where I'm black and my husband is white, and I've had to deal with people, someone called my youngest, say, oh, he looks like a monkey, doesn't he? And
No.
like Meghan and like Harry, I don't want to divulge who did that. We all know who did it in the family, amongst our friends, but it's not something I feel comfortable talking about. Harry's from a royal family, it's an institution. He is split. He obviously wants to protect his family, doesn't want to say this is who said it. And I'll probably prefer that it wasn't said, but it was said. So I don't see why anyone should question a person's right to say the truth. It's like saying, well, this is how I feel. And another person says, that's not how you feel.
Mm,
You should
mm,
feel this way.
mm.
Who gave anyone the right to question how a person interprets something that's been said or done to them?
Well, look, if I bring in Alison Scott now, Chief Exec Officer for York Mind. Alison, what did you make of Harry and Meghan's interview? And in terms of their mental health and moving away, have they done the right thing by actually unearthing all this and kind of, exorcising it, I suppose?
I think they probably felt as though they were left with very little choice but to move away from a situation that sounded quite toxic. So it's always very difficult for us to know long term what's going to happen. But sometimes you are unfortunately in a position where the choices you make are both difficult. We have lots of people talking mental health about saying I don't have a choice, and often it's about supporting people to say, well, you do. It's just unfortunately at the moment both your choices are really difficult, and I think that probably felt what was happening last night. I certainly feel as though. I thought Valentina was extremely good at articulating what she'd seen in the interview last night, and I agreed. Really, this felt as though it was very much. He said himself, Harry, that he felt as though there were quite a lot of people within the royal family who were trapped in between, so frightened of actually what the British media were going to say about them. And it did really feel at one point. I watched it with my daughter as well last night, and she said at one point she turned around, she said, "I feel as though they've been gaslighting Meghan. That was the word that she used.
Oh,
And
interesting.
I thought I can see what she said. That whole, you could see her confusion when she was saying, things were being leaked, and it was completely the opposite. But no one was able to say, and it did feel as though, as an institution, that has always been what the royal family did. I recall years and years ago when I watched it when I was a little girl, my mum saying that it'd always been very much a never complain, never explain was the royal family kind of motto. And that perhaps worked at a time when we didn't have such social media and access to information. And I think that's probably a much more difficult position to be able to hold at the moment. But yeah, I could see what she said. I think that whole their mental health being impacted because of a particular situation that was going on at the moment. You can often see that reflected when people come in and they've had issues in the workplace. Perhaps it's just a different set of values that they have in the workplace to the rest of the organisation, or bullying. And certainly with young people, we often see their mental health has been impacted as a result of something that is happening to them at the moment, a situation. So then you are in a position of saying, what do I do to be able to take myself out of this situation?
Yeah, so what should people do in terms of suffering with their mental health, Alison?
I mean, your first part, first of all, speak to family and friends. For some people, that might be enough. If it's relatively low level and it's perhaps related to the current situation at the moment, it can be enough sometimes to speak to family and friends. However, if you think that's really not going to be enough, if you go online, there are resources to be able to download. Mine certainly have some good information leaflets that give you a starting point. But really, for most people, the entry point for their mental health is going to be their GP. And often then they will be either treated within the GP system, or they will be signposted to organisations like ourselves.
And Valentina, in terms of workplace wellbeing and how important it is to have that duty of care to staff, how do you feel about what happens next for Meghan and Harry and for her wellbeing? Do you think that they'll actually now distance themselves and go into that private life that they so wanted?
I have to say I do not see it happening because people wouldn't let them. But I first have to define what I see happiness as.
Yeah.
Happiness is the maximization of meaning, purpose, positivity, and pleasure. And this is derived from the meeting of basic needs, autonomy, mastery, and inclusion. As humans, irrespective of our gender, race, sexual preference, education, disability, etc., we all have a basic need to feel safe physically, psychologically, emotionally, and financially. Meghan and Harry left the UK because they didn't feel safe psychologically. They didn't feel accepted. They didn't feel protected. And they left to try and find from their explanation, what I heard last night, they were only stepping back from senior royal duties, and they just wanted to be in the background because, if my children are being told they're not going to be protected, and there were questions about me being protected, and only my husband probably will be protected, and I keep being thrown to the wolves, I will want to do the same. I want to step back.
Yeah.
And if I step back and then we're told even your husband doesn't have protection anymore, but I've got all of this notoriety, I've got all of this fame thanks to working for you, shouldn't there be a continuing duty of care? Does that wade into the taxpayers' money? Okay, probably does, but is there a symbiotic relationship there? The taxpayers get to have more money because they're in there or they're out there and they keep being talked about. They left the UK, they've tried to live private lives, but the tabloids won't leave them. They keep writing about them and speaking their truth. I'm afraid while it's made most of us understand and appreciate better what was going on behind closed doors, I don't think it will let them be.
Valentina, thank you so much this morning. Valentina Hynes, she runs a workplace wellbeing company, and my thanks to Alison Scott, who's the Chief Executive of York Mine.